clients and the market have been somewhat complacent about terrorism. There haven't been any major events in the U.S. since 2002. But now we're starting to see more and more indications that the scope or the nature of attack could be changing, that there more and more access now to biological and chemical weapons, and cyber terrorism is obviously in the press now all the time. So I think that kind of information is becoming very topical, and TRIA is again coming up for another extension in 2014. And historically, TRIA has been extended twice before, in 2005 and 2007. But this time we're a little bit more concerned about the climate, the atmosphere that we're feeling in Washington, D.C. Obviously, there's a new government in place. The congressmen that had been supportive of TRIA in the past are no longer there. And as a result, we have a lot of clients who are very concerned that this program is being perceived as a corporate bailout, and as such it may not be available to a lot of clients who are absolutely dependent upon it going forward. The industry has always said is that because of the way that TRIA is structured right now, they are already picking up essentially $40 billion of loss because of the fact that there are deductibles and retentions and triggers and other types of mechanisms in place that require that the insurance industry is triggered first. That being said, there's still a catastrophic nature to terrorism, one. And two, it is still being perceived as a bailout for corporate America. So I think that our clients are concerned. A lot of our clients have long-term loan covenants in place. They're in the middle of major construction projects. There are requirements for insurance that go past 2014. So the insurance industry as a whole, the way it's structured right now, is not in a position to assume all of the liability that's been assumed right now by TRIA. Right now there are hearings going on Capitol Hill about the market deficiencies when it comes to cyber, that I would say that generally the terrorism market has very limited scope the traditional terrorism market, that is, has very limited scope when it comes to the actual risk of cyber terrorism. Mostly because of what you said, is that it's very difficult to delineate between the cyber terrorist and your high school kid up in an attic who suddenly hacked into a power grid. So I think that the government is now trying to figure out a suitable response for that, as is the insurance industry, because it's going to be, I think that's considered for us probably the number one threat. Deterministic models that actually do scenarios of all types of weapons, whether it's a one-ton bomb or a backpack bomb or an anthrax attack or a sarin gas or whatever. You can actually now really efficiently model what your probable maximum loss is per building. So there's been real progress in that respect. That doesn't necessarily mean that we've always anticipated what could happen next, of course, but the industry has tried gradually to develop products that at least help or facilitate a client's or a customer's understanding of what their actual exposure could be. Whether that really impacts the availability of insurance because you have that information, that's a different issue. The UK terrorism pool, there is a pool mechanism that was established in 1993, and it was the result of the IRA activities in the UK. And that mechanism, I think, is a prototype for a very successful mechanism for the U.S. And the reason for that is that this is a mechanism that has been self-funding. So the premiums are paid into the pool. It builds up its own surplus. It's been able to pay out over $1 billion of losses since it was created. It has reserves of over $3 billion, and yet the federal government, the government of the UK is still the ultimate backstop for this. But for me, there's that accumulation of capital in a pool reserved for terrorism that to me makes all the sense in the world. And ultimately, I think that would be an excellent prototype for an American scheme. A lot of our clients have captive insurance companies that have been formed in part for risk transfer for terrorism insurance. The problem with that is that ultimately, if TRIA goes away, those captives will have to change their capital, because now they won't be benefiting from the backstop. So we need to be able to be in a position to help them to replace that capacity to the extent that's possible. There's still a finite amount of capacity available globally. We estimate there's probably $6 to $8 billion worth of terrorism cover available globally. The average per risk is $2.5 billion. So that capacity can be snapped up pretty quickly. So it's very important for our clients to start looking at it now and making some purchasing decisions as to whether they need to start buying up on their capacity now, rather than waiting for that last minute rush.